it all worked out. I may
Great. Oh,
I may order a different satellite internet.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's expensive though. Like I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that like oh it's expensive. Like look what I'm gonna buy. I'm saying that as in like no like shit. Like you have to
Yeah.
buy like they don't rent you the hardware most of the time for this stuff. Like you have to buy it. So
Yeah.
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 Like
So
all right, the live stream's up now. Yeah.
It does look like it's up. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect timing for this analysis.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm a little.
No, no, that's perfect. Like that's cool. If start streaming and start off with that, that'll bring
Yep.
a lot of people like to see that.
So yeah. So I mean I think everybody remembers when we talked about what I thought. Now, once again, all of this is just my opinion. Okay, what I thought would happen if Bitcoin dropped below 30,000. I said if Bitcoin goes below 30,000, it ain't going far. I don't even think it'll go below 28, 27.5 because I think about the psychological point of 27.5, 25, 22.5. I think it only got to where it did at 2880 because people just couldn't catch it in time. They were like, "Oh shit, Bitcoin's below." I think had people been faster, it wouldn't have even gone to 2880. I think it would have gone 29.5. Like I think like at the cusp of under 30, it was going to go, and it did. I mean, it really. And remember, we did a stream the other day on how to read wicks. You can actually see how hard it tried not to even go this low. Look, so remember when you see a wick like this, where there's almost no body to the candle, that's how close the open and close were. So like for this trading period of 30 minutes, opened here, closed here, high here, low here. So these candles were almost completely just smashed. Like it was trying so hard not to not to go below. And then it finally did a little bit. And I honestly think this candle here was some people actually trying to push it lower, like trying to intentionally push it lower to get some people to panic sell. And then everybody was like, dude, Bitcoin under 30K? Question mark, when Lambo? And they ate it up. And then you can see some big buys coming in here. And I mean, it didn't last, but for an hour and a half. And I think I remember. I know a lot of people saw me post it in like general chat, even in mod chat. People are like, "What's going on with Bitcoin?" And I was like, "Guys, wait." I was like, "Go for a walk." I think everybody heard me. I said, "Go for a walk and come back in a few hours." It literally was like an hour and a half, 2 hours, sprang right back, and now we're headed right back up. And what our high today was, oh, go figure. Like I was saying, guys, break points. 35K is great, but look, the reason why the high is 35,500 even is people probably had orders placed for that amount. So people were expecting that. So let's see here. Like I said, guys, I'm not a fancy stock trader. I'm literally okay. So here's like another pattern, I guess, like I would look for. So this kind of like slow, like downward ascending kind of trend, and then a nice little bump up. It kind of makes like a reverse staircase, if you will. If you notice, it keeps kind of happening here, and the lows keep getting higher. So it's making that nice. Like I said, it's kind of like a staircase. And you just look for the psychology. Like what I like to think to myself, is what would someone looking at this chart coming in to buy Bitcoin for the first time think? And maybe not even the first time, but coming in from another coin, and they want to get in on a good price. And it's funny because the term FOMO is so real. People love to FOMO in, and knowing that Bitcoin was at 68,000 and seeing that it was just here and it's going, I really think that it's going to continue. Let's see what some 1 days look like. So there was that just steep. Gosh. So and I pointed this out too. When we hit this here, I was feeling good about the bounce, and as you can see, it's done it, every time it's gotten close. So we are just bouncing right along, 30,000, 29,000. So the best thing that we can hope for this to keep going, right, is at least we never drop below, like, by no means, of course, is this to try to scare anyone, because like I'm saying, when you have new lows, it allows people to buy in, and people see green and they're like, oh man, I'm going to make a lot of profit from this trade. But if we did fall below this lowest low, it could continue down to 25. And the only reason why is the psychology of that bounce is gone now. So the psychology of the bounce works the first time because it's like, oh my goodness, it's below 30,000, boom, and it goes through. But if it drops back again below 30,000, people are like, oh, wow, it's back where it was. It might keep going, and they'll take the next psychological break point, which 27.5 is kind of close, but this would be a big, like, psychological break point, and it would be 25. So that would be my estimation. If it fell back below 28.8, it would go to 25 and then bounce up again. As long as it continues to trend upward here, we're at 35,000, excuse me. 35,000. Do you know how great of a psychological, not barrier, but a psychological, like, enhancement that is? Like, oh yes, Bitcoin's back over 35,000 and it was just at 28,000. Oh my God, anything is possible. And think about the volume difference, guys. Remember, back in the day, in the early crypto days, remember, Bitcoin, people freaked out when it hit $7,000 for the first time. We had a $7,000 swing in just a few days. Like, it's crazy, the volume that's going through Bitcoin. And when we zoom out and we kind of look at the bigger level on things, this is why, like, I don't think the bull run is anywhere near over. Once again, I'm using past events to compare the future. And hold on, let me see here. Where is there it is. So I'm using past events to determine the future here, and just everything's lined up perfectly this year to indicate that we're going to have a big bull run at the end of the year. Like that's it. Like, that's the easiest way to explain it is if you look at 2017, massive media exposure in the beginning of the year. Bitcoin made its first big run to around $10,000. It came back down about halfway. The summer hit. Things kind of traded sideways. People are like, oh no, Bitcoin's done, because it was the first time it had big mainstream media exposure, first time people saw it get to those levels and then get cut in half. They're like, oh no, it's done. And then it touched 19,000, 20,000 by the end of the year. Well, that same series of events have occurred this year due to the Binance Smart Chain, SafeMoon, everything like that. We've had massive media exposure in the beginning of the year, followed by an excellent pump, all-time high to 6,490, or 64,967 dollars. And notice how we got right at the cusp of that 65,000. It's almost like the big players in the game knew that psychological achievement for the little guy of 65,000 Bitcoin cost would make people not sell. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, we're going to 65K. And then the big guys, right before it could get there, $50 away, they said this is the perfect time to sell. If we sell here, we can push it down. And what did they do? Think about it, guys. We talk about psychological breakpoints. Do you not find it odd that it all stopped right at 65,000, or just before 65,000? Stopped right before 65K and then just bow. Started to make its recovery. Got back up. What do you know? Another nice little break point, 59,586. Just shy of 60K again. And then what does it do? Takes another tumble to another great psychological number. You see it right here on the low, 30,000. What do you know? comes back up, we bounce along. We don't fall below that. That was our low, right? That 30,100 was our low. This is why I said if we fell below 30K, we would spring back, because we kept coming down and getting close to it. And then what do you know? We get a little 31,028. And then the first time it slaps below 30,000, pow, it comes right back up to 35,000. And now notice we're at 35,200 now. When we started this stream, we were at like right at around 35K. And I was like, we've passed that psychological point of 35,000. I think it might keep going. So all I'm using is psychological breakpoints of when someone thinks like, okay, you know, an even number, a 5 number, a quarter number, and based on the current trend, what will happen. Now, if you notice here, you see this little guy, this little happy bush over here, this little happy tree, this mountain, up, down, look, up, down, 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 and then it goes to break the all-time high. If you take this little guy right here, this little bush, and you line it up with this one, right? You just scale them down, right? So take this square here, this little image here, and then combine it with like this one here. We've got our climb, our first drop, our climb back, and our drop down. Look, and our drop down, and then it kind of levels out a little bit. Our drop down levels out. This one was a little steeper, because I'm telling you, I mean, you know, I there's no way to prove it, but I think it's pretty obvious when you look at the minute charts. This was manipulated by the big players. But this pattern here almost repeats this pattern here. And I know that the pattern of events that have happened this year have led up to just like it did in 2017. So I'm thinking if we continue and we just look at an earlier pattern in Bitcoin, not just from on the chart, but an actual pattern of events that have happened across the world, we should come along here. We might bounce around a little bit more, and then it's July, August. I'm thinking by late July, mid-August is when, I mean, it could be as late as the end of August. That's when I'm thinking that the bull, like we're not going away before then. But when I'm talking about the bull run, I'm saying $100,000 Bitcoin. And, you know, that's a bold statement, I guess. But an even bolder statement are the people walking around going Bitcoin is going back to $10,000. I don't see how you could think that or assume that based on we know how high Bitcoin could get with X amount of exposure, X amount of holders. Like we know what it was able to do in the past, and we have so much more. Used to, you couldn't buy Bitcoin on your phone like you could now. You can buy Bitcoin anywhere now. Like you can buy Bitcoin from PayPal now, right? So how are you going to tell me that 4 years later, with more platforms, more mobile platforms, more exchanges, more ways to get it, more ways to buy it, more knowledge, more media exposure, that we're just magically going to fall back to $10,000 where we were 4 years ago? I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think a better, more accurate statement is that the series of events has repeated itself, and now there is more exposure, more ways to buy. So why shouldn't the end of this year be just as a successful bull run as it was in 2017, or if not greater? So that is my prediction. And what's great, and I'm happy that we did this on YouTube, is this will be here for the world to see. So come December, we'll see what happens. But man, I would love it if it was spot on. But I think it probably will be. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that's how I feel. So do we have any questions about that? Because I'd love to answer some questions. Anybody?
I think everybody's just stunned.
Oh.
I think people really like it, man. People really like hearing that shit.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, and like I said, like you see how I base it, man. I'm not like some troll like, Bitcoin's going to $5,000 because of this, and it makes no sense. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm using real reason I like to believe. So and two, I think it's funny how there have been lots of streamers and people who do TA, and like I said, man, they get in here with all their trend lines, and they're like, all right, if this is gonna do this, then this is doing that, and then once this does that, they're like, I'm gonna take another one here, and oh, all right, we're gonna take this one here, and we're gonna do that, and then obviously, guys, it's gonna do that, and they're like, and this is how I know that Bitcoin's going to hit $7,000. And they just expect like everybody who's watching or listening, they say it in such a way that's so confusing to them. Like with all their TA, they're just like, well, shit, they don't know what I'm talking about anyways. They're just watching. That's why I don't use those analogies and use those methods to try to educate.
Or they're trying to pump their bags.
That too. Yeah, that too. Exactly. Like you guys know.
Whatever the case.
Yeah, a lot of the case, but and also too, when people FUD, they're trying to pump their bags because they're trying to pump their bags by making them bigger by FUDding you, and then you sell, and then they can buy what you sold. So it goes both ways. But yeah, so let's see how many viewers did we have for that? Okay, that's not bad. One second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's still. Well, here's the thing. It's not it's not a modem. It's just an extender for the satellite internet. Like it just helps me get a better signal,
yeah.
but it acts as like a router, so I can hardwire into it. And I think that my only little problem disconnecting isn't a problem with the internet signal coming from my satellite to my router.
Right.
I think it's the router to my computer. So. Let me go do that real quick.
Sense.
Yeah, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, that Rise reward site is like one of my favorite things about this community. It just shows how people who are Rise holders are doing really cool stuff, like putting their own time, energy, and effort into making the community better by building cool tools like that site.
Yeah, I agree. It was really nice to just find that out from the Discord.
And the dude that built it is really great as well. He's a cool guy that comes on here often and has done. He's a big Rise supporter, obviously.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned. It's actually pretty cool that like the community has just been so evolved. Not just shilling the coin necessarily, but the token, but just kind of doing unique things. I want to say in that sense, it's been pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, if you're in the Discord, have you seen that whale watch thing they've been sharing in there?
Yeah, that's another
It's
thing
like
with the
a
Discord.
Reddit post somebody has built.
What happened with Discord?
Yeah, that whale watch. What do you mean? What happened with Discord? I'm just saying they share a lot
I don't
more
know.
stuff. It's smaller. There's sort of a more focused, conversation. But they were sharing this like whale watch platform, I guess, like interface that somebody in the community has built. It's really cool. You can see like the activity of like the top 5 or 10 whales holding Rise right now, and like what they did, if they bought, if they sold, if they held, every single day. It's pretty cool.
I did not know that. I'm gonna try and find that right now. Sounds pretty cool.